Good evening, Hampton Roads viewers. This is another great MeetUp event of the Hampton Roads Black Caucus. Meetups are a product of the Hampton Roads Black Caucus's stream team, an effort to bring great material to you, the public. The meetups are a fresh way to hear direct from your sitting politicians and their respective challengers. We know you want to hear their thoughts on important issues related to the Hampton Roads Black community, in business and politics in general. So we'll bring you many more of those in the future. That's why I want you, the viewer, to share this video. I want you to question and comment during the show. I want you to like the Hampton Roads Black Caucus on Facebook and subscribe to their channel on YouTube. That way you'll be properly involved in our local civics. But on to tonight's presentation. Tonight's meetup features Virginia Beach City Treasurer Leigh Henderson. She is running for the seat again as it's a constitutional office and those seats are up for 4-year cycles, the last one being in 2017. She is running against challenger Laura Wood Hubbard. We've reached out to Ms. Hubbard to do a meetup as well and will anxiously await her correspondence, so she may have her on soon. I'll bring her on right now. There's Miss Leigh. Leigh was born in Virginia Beach, graduating from Kellam High. While your humble host went to Salem High School, I'd point out we both attended Old Dominion University. Leigh graduated from ODU in 2000 with 2 bachelors of sciences, one in accounting and one in finance. Leigh is married to Jeff, a Virginia Beach paramedic, and they have 4 children. So I'll begin with softball questions. Ms. Henderson, I want to thank you for coming on, of course, but are you doing well on this Friday evening?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Conrad. Thank you for having me. I was at work all day and just getting home and getting settled.
Thank you again for coming on. This is a great opportunity to sort of describe a little bit of what you already currently do. So can't wait for that. So let's begin with the basics as to your expertise. Let's go over your work history with this type of position. So question number 1, Treasurer Henderson, tell us about what experience you have with coordinating and directing the financial planning, budgeting, procurement, or investment activities of a city like this or any other organization too, and what helped you be successful in it?
Sure. Just a little bit of my background. After I graduated from Old Dominion, I started in the city treasurer's office as an entry-level accountant. And over the years, I've done lots of different capacities in the treasurer's office. And part of that was the accounting and investments administrator, where I managed the city's investment portfolio. So with 21 I have a lot of experience on the finance side of things when it comes to the accounting and investment world. One of the things that we do in the city treasurer's office is we manage the cash for the city and planning. So what we do is we take a look at the known and expected revenues that come in and the known and expected expenditures that go out and try to match them together so that we're always in a sound financial place in this payrolls and for our debt service payments. So when we're looking at investments, we try to match the maturities of those investments with the funds that we expect to go outflow from the city. Now, there's sometimes that we have liquidity reserves on the side to compensate for the unknown expenses that oftentimes come out of the city. We work with the finance department quite a bit. I've had experience updating the investment. And some of those updates come from state code changes, like the last one where I upgraded the what we could look at as far as rating agencies are concerned. And some of them are just updates for industry practice.
All right, the screen froze briefly there for a second, but I still hear you now. I see you. So let me move on to question number 2 for Treasurer Henderson. Share an experience in which you delegated authority for the receipt or disbursement, banking, protection, or custody of funds, security, a lot of financial jargon here, and that experience, were you happy with the results that you could share with us? And, or how about a time that you were unhappy with the results of your delegation?
I'm sorry, Conrad, there was quite a bit of buffering there. Can you repeat the question, just the short version of the question?
Yes, tell us about both the good and bad times about your delegation to others who work alongside you in this office.
Oh, okay. Well, since I worked in the office for so many years, it was my primary responsibility to handle those finances. There was a lot of delegation that had to occur because my oversight of the office is much broader than just those specific financial needs. So I've had to delegate, but because I've been very in on those individuals, I hire educated people and experienced people, and then I try to mentor them through different things that perhaps that I have been in, but they have. I check in on them periodically. I review their paperwork just to make sure that everything is going okay.
All right. All right. So, how about another thing based on experience? Provide an experience in which you successfully conducted a difficult audit of company accounts or financial transactions to ensure compliance with state and federal requirements and statutes.
Sure. My primary objective in the office was to reconcile bank accounts. And 21 years ago, when I was hired, it was kind of a mess. It hadn't been done in a little while. It was all over the months, close to a year of getting everything caught up, doing the audits on all those accounts and making sure we were in compliance. It is the duty of the treasurer to have those bank accounts reconciled in an appropriate time limit within a month or two after the statements are to keep up to date. And that's why it's so important to keep up to date, because the further behind something gets, the harder it is to figure out what is going on. And part of the treasurer's office is we go through a lot of audits internally where myself and others review other people's work to make sure that we're in compliance. But we also have an internal audit department that looks in on our work. We also go through an external audit that the entire city participates in, and that is comprehensive annual financial report. But because the treasurer's office deals in so much cash and adds information that is published in that comprehensive report, we go through that audit as well. And we additionally go through another audit who takes a look at our data. Actually, when I became treasurer, when the former treasurer retired, there's a turnover audit that goes on, and that was an additional audit that occurred. So not only do I participate in the office and have that background in accounting and finance, the office itself goes through many of those reviews too.
All right. My next question is going to be sort of teamwork related. So if you could describe an experience in which facilitating financial activities was made easier by your relationship with personnel in this finance department.
Sure. Over the years, I've worked on just about every technology project that has impacted the treasurer's office. But I think the most recent one is last year, the finance department implemented a new ERP project. And part of that project is the replacement of the city's financial system and our chart of accounts. So our entire numerical structure in the chart of accounts changed. And when we have other systems that feed into the general ledger, we had a lot of modifications that had to be done to those interfaces and a lot of cross-referencing between them. So having those relationships with the finance department and the IT department made things a little bit easier. Having the background in the accounting and the finance, understanding the chart of account, understanding debits and credits and how all of those work together different than was critical to that process. And then having where treasurer's office staff, myself included, and my team, and finance and IT people, you have to be able to speak the same language. You have to be able to talk about expenses and assets and liabilities. And I think that's really critical to having a more successful project. Every technology project is can be trying, but we were able to get through that with those working relationships, knowledge, and having worked with these individuals before.
Awesome, awesome. This is more going to be a question based on compliance. So, in your experience, what is the key to ensuring your city is compliant with all laws and regulations and standards that are applicable to where you're responsible for?
Sure. Well, part of the compliance comes in with the audit factor that I've already talked about, being audited audit department, being audited by our external auditors, being audited by the state auditors, being audited during the turnover audit. That's really critical. But to kind of go back to the basics before you even get to the audit, I think it's really important to have an understanding of the roles and responsibilities of the treasurer's office, already know what the office should be doing and shouldn't be doing, and understanding the difference between what IT likes to call our community of interest, which includes all of the tax offices, the state assessor's office, the commissioner of the revenue's office, and the treasurer's office. So having that knowledge behind it, you have a startup to know how to stay in compliance with certain things. Additionally, we document those processes. So if we have a turnover in staff, if things are documented and the expectations are made, then new staff that comes in will be able to read that documentation, follow that documentation, and make sure that we stay doing exactly what we're supposed to do as far as compliance. Most of our office is very defined by the laws and ordinances set by the city and the state.
Good points, good points. Now we're sort of going to move away from the experience and move it to more of your plans that you might have for the future or visions for the city and how they can most help the Hampton Roads Black community. So question number 6 is this. What strategies would you recommend for implementing programs that promote the economic vitality of the city's neighborhoods?
Sure. So essentially, the treasurer's office is really not a policy making office, but we work to communicate with our office. Probably talks with the citizens of Virginia Beach more so than many other city offices. So I think it starts with education. There are lots of programs available in the city of Virginia Beach, particularly during the time of the pandemic. Public utility assistance program for citizens that qualified. The Department of Human Resources offered programs for personal property and real estate taxes for citizens that qualified. The Department of Economic Development helps with businesses who are trying to start up or potentially for grants. So as the treasurer's office, we can help facilitate those connections, those conversations back to those citizens to help them be successful in those areas.
Alrighty. So now we're ready to move on to question number 7. What programs would you wish to implement to improve financial literacy for all citizens and help strengthen small, women, and minority-owned businesses by providing access to capital? And granted, you did touch on that it's not much policy related regarding this position, but perhaps something you could speculate on.
Sure. What I would like to do is to offer classes, and we already do this on a case-by-case basis, but maybe up with doing some sort of organization, a forum type of thing for businesses that have questions about specifically their trust taxes. Now, it's important to understand that the Commissioner of the Revenue's Office is in charge of business licenses and opening new businesses and ongoing businesses. And if they are required to pay trust taxes, which could be meals tax, emissions tax, short-term rental type of tax, then they transition a little bit over to the treasurer's office. It's kind of a partnership between both of the offices. I think it would be really helpful if could have some sort of forum or educational classes for businesses. A lot of businesses that we have found that have trouble, not just in the pandemic, but generally throughout the years, they're in their business, running their business, and they cook, the cleaner, the bookkeeper, the waitress, they do it all. So to really help them with that, where they may not have the expertise in the financial area, we can advise them on some of the rules and regulations to continue to operate their business and file the appropriate gross receipt information to make sure that they're paying the taxes the way that they should be. So that's really the direction that I would like to go for the future.
That sounds pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. We're ready to move on to question number 8. Research data shows that businesses owned by African Americans tend to have lower sales, fewer employees, smaller payrolls, lower profits, and higher closure rates than any other racial or ethnic community. So this boils down to, how would your office like to revolutionize the way the city can invest in and contract with financial institutions that could benefit that community?
So investments, and we talk about banking institutions, it comes down to the safety, liquidity, and yield for citizens as a whole. We are very conscientious about the additional revenue can earn in our investment portfolio, and we're very conscientious as a whole about banking services and the fees that are associated with that. But in regards to helping different communities, I think it really goes back to the education. If we can assist citizens and businesses to the right people, they can help them with startups, with grants, with assistance on tax burdens, then I think that's how the treasurer's office can facilitate that. When it comes to upholding the standards of economic vitality, that's across the board. But if we can educate them, that would be my primary focus.
Alrighty. Now this gets a little more simply based to just the community at whole regarding business growth. So how would you support, if you could, Black-owned business growth and economic development in the city of Virginia Beach?
Well, we want all businesses to succeed, but we really want that communication with businesses. Like I said before, we'll encourage them to reach out to other departments that can help in those specific areas. But for example, if a business or citizens, they're having a financial this pandemic has created a lot of financial distress. And what we ask out of citizens and businesses is for them to communicate. We want their businesses to be successful. We want their personal lives and their family to be successful. We want them to stay employed, and that in turn helps us. So when we talk to citizens and businesses, we want to assist them in being able to pay their taxes. And sometimes that goes back to forming a payment arrangement. Forced collection is always the last resort for us. During the pandemic, because it was very difficult in the beginning for City Council to meet and create the ordinances and changes that they eventually did, citizens with delaying the personal property and real estate taxes due for a few months, and the meals tax holiday, and the shift in the way that the trust taxes were due. Before all of that even happened, the treasurer's office, I created a emergency payment, where what that did is it allowed for businesses to sign a contract with the city treasurer's office and not pay any of those business taxes for the duration of the state of emergency if they could not afford to do so. It also put all penalties on hold. So they had to complete their filing and file their paperwork, but they didn't have to make any payments. And if they could start making payments before the state of emergency was lifted, we would obviously take it. What we wanted them to do is be able to remain open and continue doing businesses, because if a business closes, we are going to have a really, really hard time collecting the tax. But if they can stay open and they can start to become more time as the economy improves, that was the whole goal. So we had many, many businesses take advantage of that specific payment plan. So we want everyone to have the opportunity to be successful and grow throughout even hard times.
Great stuff. Now, this is the last prepared question of the night. And it sort of involves about similar topics we just had, but more about measuring them. So what processes would you use to measure the city treasurer's office efforts in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and social responsibility?
Sure. The city treasurer's office prides itself in customer service, and most people do not want to the city treasurer's office. People do not want to pay their taxes. People are very sensitive about their financial matters, and we completely understand that, as everyone should be. But we want to have open doors. We want people to come in and leave in a more pleasant environment than they thought they were going to have when they came in. We also think it's important that our office represents the diversity in our community. So we have all sorts of people that work in the office and can help people. If certain people feel more comfortable with different people, then we like to provide that service. We also have people in our office that speak different languages. If there is a barrier, we have people that speak, I think, Spanish right now, Tagalog, and Arabic. So it's really important for us to be able to connect with our constituents of all different backgrounds and ethnicities.
Excellent to hear. Excellent to hear. Now, we've reached the end of our Hampton Roads Black Caucus meetup program tonight, and I want to thank Ms. Leigh Henderson for sharing her time with the Hampton Roads Black Caucus, giving us her thoughts on these matters, her expertise, what the position actually does, and this is really important stuff. So are there any last things you would like the viewers to sort of click on or follow specifically for yourself, Ms. Henderson?
Sure. If anyone chooses to, they can follow me on Facebook, and my website is voteleighenderson.com. Would certainly appreciate everyone's consideration for my background and my education and the things that I've been able to accomplish in the last few years, the short time that I've been treasurer. Times have been very difficult. We've had a lot of trials and tribulations, but we have made positive steps forward in the office during that short time, with which I'm very proud of. So I would graciously ask people to consider that when go out to vote on or before November the 2nd.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for coming on both this show and spending time with the Hampton Roads Black Caucus, all its viewers. Thank you so much, and I do hope you'd have a great night and a great weekend.
Thank you so much, Conrad. I appreciate it. Have a great night as well.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, everybody, you've been watching another Hampton Roads Black Caucus meetup. Make sure to like the Hampton Roads Black Caucus's pages and all of our channels across social media. Connect with candidates in your area, and make sure you tell them that they should come on the Hampton Roads Black Caucus Meetup and Sparta series. This goes for all Republicans, third partiers, independents, and Democrats alike. The whole community needs to hear from all of them. Give a thought to joining the Hampton Roads Black Caucus and help us make great change in the 757. I'm Conrad Chesverner in Virginia Beach. I hope you all have a great Friday and, of course, a just great weekend. Hope you all have a great time and tune in for the next meetup show very soon.